Yo, what is up guys? It's Pedro here, and in today's video I will be giving you guys 5 QBs that could possibly be the quarterback of the future for the Washington football team. Some of these options will be free agents for this year, some of them will be draft options in 2021, and some of them will be possible trade options. If you guys are new, subscribe for Washington and NFL content, so let's get right into the video. Even before Dwayne Haskins got released, we knew that the quarterback of the future was not on this roster. So now let's get into 5 possible options. Most of these guys are realistic, so like the draft options, it's not going to be Trevor Lawrence. We know we have no chance at getting him. Even Zach Wilson is a long shot because I think he's going to go top 7, maybe even top 5. So first, let's get into an option that we would have to explore via trade, and that is Matthew Stafford. And Matthew Stafford actually has been pretty solid for the Lions for a while. This season, he's played in 15 games, but it's been a little bit injured. 2 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, has a 95 pass rating, 64 completion percentage, so he's played pretty solid. Last year was the first year he really had any injury issues. Look at year 2011 to 2018, he did not miss a game, so he's been relatively healthy. And in 2019, he actually had one of the best years of his career when he was playing. He played in 8 games, a 64% completion percentage, 2,500 yards. So he's on pace for 5,000 yards, on pace for 38 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. That is amazing. That is elite level play right there. When he didn't necessarily have the best situation. He did have some weapons, but it's not like he had some crazy weapons. And before that, 21 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, 29 and 10, 24 and 10. So he still has some good football left in him. I do believe he is around 30 years old, so he still has good football in him. It's just a matter of can he stay healthy, which, besides the last couple of years, he has been able to do so. And, does this system fit him? We would have to give up something via trade. So we don't know how much it would be. Would it be a second round and something else? Would it be a third round? Would it be more? We don't know at this point because they're going to get new GMs and, new management. So it'll depend on if they want to keep Stafford. And if they don't, then obviously he's going to be available. But if they do, then, obviously we're not going to be able to get him. So this is only a possible option. But I would like it because, he isn't on the books for a lot of money. And, we would still be able to pay some of our young defensive pieces. So Matthew Stafford is one of the top options in my opinion, as long as we don't have to give up a huge amount in a trade for Matthew Stafford. Let me know what you guys think about Matthew Stafford in the comments down below. So now this is a draft option, and it is Trey Lance. And I'm not a huge Trey Lance guy, but this is definitely a possible option for us, regardless if we make the playoffs. If we make the playoffs, we're going to be drafting at around 19. So that he's going to be in that 10 to 15-ish range, maybe later, depending on what happens. But if we don't make the playoffs, we're going to be in that top 10 range. And, if we do make the playoffs, we can still trade up a bit. And I think he's going to be right around where we drafted. He's a little bit more of a project, but he still has a lot of potential. 2019, 28 touchdowns, no interceptions, played pretty well. He's also a very good rusher, 169 rush attempts in 2019 for 1,100 yards, 14 touchdowns. In the NFL right now, you got to have a somewhat mobile quarterback, and he is very mobile. So, I would not mind if we went after him. The only thing that does concern me with Trey, he only had 1 year of starting, where he started the whole year. Before that, he really didn't do it. And because of this season with the pandemic and all, he wasn't able to play in a full season. So that's just my take on. He only played 1 game. So I would be okay with Trey Lance, but you have to have a good plan to develop him, and that could be if Alex Smith stays around. you're going to be able to develop him behind Alex Smith, maybe for half the season, kind of like what they did with Tua, and you could even do the same with Kyle Allen. So now into the third option, and this is probably the most controversial one on the table right here, and it's Dak Prescott. He's one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL, top 10 in my opinion. The only problem with Dak, and a lot of people don't like him just because he's from the Cowboys, but great leader. The biggest issue with Dak is, you could say the injury, but for me, it's the amount of money that we would have to give up to pay him would be over 35. It would probably be like $37 million per year, and I just don't know if it's worth it because we're not going to be able to necessarily pay Daron Payne, Jonathan Allen, Montez Sweat, Terry McLaurin. We're not going to be able to pay all of those guys if we give Dak Prescott close to $40 million, but nonetheless, absolutely great player last year in Dallas, 30 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. This year, had a pretty good start to the season, 9 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 1,800 yards in about 4.5 games. And he's a great leader. That's the good thing about him, and he is somewhat mobile. Averages about 250 yards a year on the ground and always gets a few touchdowns. So I would be somewhat excited with Dak. It's just that you're in absolute win now mode, and he's always been surrounded with good talent. That's the thing. He's always had a good offensive line really before this year, great receivers, in the last couple years, and a good run game. And he doesn't necessarily have all of that in DC. He has an okay offensive line here if he would come here, and a solid run game, but we would have to upgrade the receivers in my opinion. But it really depends on how much you want to pay him if you want to bring Dak in to DC. So now on to the last draft option, and then that is Mac Jones. And I think this would be a player that we could draft in where we're going to be drafting. And a lot of executives think he's going to go higher than most people think. So maybe if we don't make the playoffs, he's definitely going to probably be there where we're drafting. Maybe not if we do end up making the playoffs this year with Alabama. And keep in mind, he is playing with an amazing receiving core. Devontae Smith, you got Jalen Waddle for the first half of the season, has a good offensive line, but nonetheless, 76.5% completion percentage, 3,700 yards, 32 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He's played amazing this year for Alabama, number 1 team in the country. He's played solid again, though, has really good weapons. So, we'll see about Mac Jones. I'm not super excited, but I also wouldn't mind us getting him. It just, for me, in terms of drafting a quarterback, all I care about is Rivera and Kyle Smith have a guy that they really like. Obviously, besides Trevor Lawrence, I'm fine with them taking a guy at 19 or 10 or wherever they're drafting, or even trading up if they have to, because if they have their guy, the notion that you can't win with young quarterbacks, it's not true. I mean, a lot of people are saying, oh, you're going to waste this young defense if you draft a quarterback. Well, the thing is, you look at Patrick Mahomes, he was playing MVP caliber football in his first year starting. Deshaun Watson playing good football in his first and second year. Kyler Murray, same thing. Many really good quarterbacks play good in the beginning of their career. So it all depends on if you have a guy that you really like. So now on to the last option. And this is not necessarily just Jameis Winston. This is just like one of the more, I wanted to give an option that wasn't too flashy and that we could easily do in free agency or a trade. So my kind of 2 options are Jameis Winston / Marcus Mariota. I'm not too crazy excited for either of those options, but I really wouldn't mind Jameis Winston or Marcus Mariota. Here's why. For Jameis Winston, I mean, obviously, the big concern for him is the turnovers. 2019, 33 touchdowns, which is amazing, and over 5,000 yards. But the thing with him, he threw the ball to the other team way too much. 30 interceptions, that is way too much. Obviously, not a great necessarily fit for him with Bruce Arians. Brady has I think the highest interceptions of his career this year in Tampa Bay, but nonetheless, he has to get better with that. I think he got LASIK this year, LASIK surgery, but also I think sitting behind Drew Brees might end up helping him, and maybe he comes and plays better for us than he did with New Orleans or with Tampa Bay. I'm not sure. I would explore it. I think Ron Rivera knows what he's going to get out of Jameis Winston because, Jameis Winston was playing in his division for a few years while Ron was with Carolina. So those are my options. I would like Matthew Stafford. And like I said, if Ron and these guys have a guy that they want to draft early, then go ahead and do that because you getting your franchise guy, those guys can win in their first few years in the NFL, and you're doing that on a rookie contract, and you can still keep like Smith or Kyle Allen ahead of them for a bit to help them develop. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. What's your favorite option? Again, thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. Let's get to 4,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Make sure you guys subscribe, and peace.